Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm a former deputy CIO for the state of Texas. I also ran a specialized procurement group called the Council on Competitive Government and turned that into a company. And so I'm a certified public procurement officer. I started Civic Initiatives in 2010. We specialize in public sector procurement operation transformation projects. I have about 35 employees. All my folks have public procurement certifications, and we've done a lot of work. So what are we covering today? Why should procurement be a priority for you? This is a city and county manager, so I'm actually very interested to hear from you guys if procurement is a priority for you. I'll make the case why it should be. What is procurement as a service? And who needs procurement as a service? And then I have 4 profiles of use cases that I think need what I'm going to talk about. And then we're doing work for 4 of these folks. These are 4 local government people, so City of Pearland, Douglas County, Flagler County, and Cook County. And we'll hear from them some of the use cases of why they have used this service. So you have a lot to do as city and county managers. Why should procurement be on your list? I gave a speech to the Government Financial Officers Association a couple months ago, and I was talking about e-procurement. And at the end, I got a question from somebody who basically said, will this work if we don't have a procurement function? And I had to catch myself a little bit. It was an interesting conversation, and that actually led to some of this profile set. So then I wrote this article called Procurement as the Focal Point, where my point was procurement sits in this nexus between finance, legal, and business, and it's its own professionalized function. And if we don't treat it as professionalized function, we miss the opportunity. Procurement is the thing that helps you think big about the type of design for your big RFPs, for how you manage categories. There's lots of places where if procurement isn't working, things really break. So you ought to think about procurement as this best value place for sourcing strategy, spend analysis, contract portfolio development, which is your combination of cooperative contracts, vendor development, performance management. So why is the procurement function hard to staff? I was in one of the sessions, and lots of stuff is hard to staff these days. Is anybody not having any staffing problems? Everybody 100% on your staffing? Well, I'll make the argument why procurement has been hard to staff. So the biggest cliche in procurement is that you fell into procurement. So the fell-ins are aging out. And then we have really a challenging messaging issue with getting young people into procurement. I find procurement to be really interesting, and I came to procurement late in career and I understood the power of it. I don't know that we've done a great job communicating to young people why procurement is interesting. And then the messaging issue is compounded when the type of positions we put out are buyer one, buyer one, buyer one type positions. This graphic on the side, I have a whole hour-long presentation on why this is such a critical time to change that messaging and to improve getting young people to be interested in procurement. So that's an overall issue. And then for procurement specifically, it's been a really long 20 months for those of you who have procurement staff. First, critical response to PPE and the rest, having to come up with new vendors on the fly, and then moving into supply chain issues. Now we're kind of past some of that, but now it's hard to get a hold of things. And there's federal relief fund dollars. So that also then creates a lot of RFPs that have to be created. So it's pretty unrelenting on procurement, and it has been for a while. And then you take that with the last point, which is job mobility has never been a thing for procurement. Procurement was always supposed to be in the building, like your facilities staff and your security, but then we sent them home to their kitchen table. They proved they could do work under very challenging circumstances. And now if people are saying, come back into the office, there are options for them to work remote now that weren't there before. So it's a very challenging time to consistently staff procurement. So what is procurement as a service? It's a program that we designed to provide instant-on capability to public procurement functions. It's not outsourcing, it's extending. We staff it with a variety of experienced certified procurement professionals. So these are instant-on 20, 25-year professionals. And we work as a team tailor-fit to the need of a client. But we do it in a very experienced management consulting paradigm. We work nationally, we have tons of enthusiastic references, and importantly, we're only buy-side. We don't have any entanglements that would in any way put you at risk or us at risk. We're totally buy-side support. So what then is the work? Well, what do you need to backfill your team or to extend your team? Different procurement organizations may need different kinds of assistance. If there's water coming over the levee, what do we need to rebuild it? Sometimes we just need people to go start filling sandbags. Go, go, go. I'm 20 behind. I need hands-on sand right now. And in other cases, you may say, well, gosh, it'd be better if I had somebody go get a bulldozer and make that run. So sometimes you need something short-term and logistical, and sometimes you need something strategic. So short-term and logistical, clearing purchasing or task backlogs, managing RFP portfolios. We've got tons of RFP portfolios that we're running for clients right now just because they needed somebody to stand in breach, and there's in a couple of our use cases. Managing relief fund tracking and compliance. We are doing a lot of the work around actually executing the ARPA portfolio and then tracking and reporting against the ARPA portfolio. Strategically then, we are doing tons of work to improve the processes, the documentation, lots of program assessment work, and then we do a lot of work around procurement automation. What is e-procurement? What does that mean to you? And how can you make good choices? So who needs procurement as a service? For the purpose of this, I set up 4 profiles of people who are using procurement as a service or how they would use procurement as a service. And I have an article on this on my LinkedIn if you like the graphics or the discussion. So there's the one-man band, the invisible man, the vase curator, and the surge protector. So in the one-man band scenario, this would be a place where the CFO or the administrative officer or the mayor or the judge or the city manager is wearing multiple hats. Today, I'm the procurement officer. Tomorrow, I'm the parks and rec guy. So there's no designated procurement function. Then they're likely handling procurement with P cards or submission of payment requests. And there's likely to be little to no automation. So my use case for one-man band is actually a school, so I didn't include it as a video in the interest of time, but I'll describe the characteristics of how you would solve that problem. If you're going to run a procurement function with no procurement professionals, you should still have procurement professionals help you design how that would work. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck because something will eventually happen that either breaks a supply chain point or puts you at risk. Some of the things you would do if you're in that one-man band scenario, you feel like you're too small to have a procurement function, but you want to be able to protect yourself or to make that manage well, we would help you with setting up a P card strategy. How do you have it? How do you set up policy? Cooperative contracts, very powerful for small entities. How do you make use of them? What categories? And then there are tons of co-op contract options out there today. Omnia, Sourcewell, NASPO, et cetera. So how do you build strategies for putting in place something that minimizes the amount of time you have to spend on stuff that someone else has designed? Setting up base templates for your RFPs, training your end users on what they're supposed to actually be doing in procurement, and baseline contract management policies. So this is from that GFOA conference when somebody was saying, can I still have e-procurement even if I don't have any procurement people? Then this was basically my answer. You have to still create this stuff to take advantage of these tools, even if you still never intend to staff it, but at least then your processes act like you have a person. So the invisible man scenario, the entity, which may be you, is large enough to have a procurement function. You could have one, but you either have never articulated the reason to have procurement, or what you have that is procurement, that you're calling procurement, is basically somebody who is at the end tying up loose knots and taking that information that was done and putting it into the system. But I'd suggest to you that's not really procurement. It feels like procurement, but it's not. But there's no procurement presence at the front. So procurement as a concept is wildly decentralized among the departments. The main reason procurement talent being wildly decentralized among the departments is such a risk is if any one of those people does a poor job on doing a best value solicitation, messes up the way they do evaluation criteria, leads to one vendor, just basically puts out something the vendors can't actually respond to, then that harms everything else in your departments. So this is Terry Willoughby, and she is with Douglas County, and we're helping her right now, and she is in this scenario. Terry, thanks for making a few minutes. So why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you to talk about the topic.
Sure. I'm Terry Willoughby. I am the Chief Financial Officer from Douglas County, Nevada. We are a small rural county in northern Nevada.
So tell me about your situation and then why procurement as a service was something that you thought would help you solve some problems.
Certainly, I've been in other organizations where we actually had a full, robust purchasing and procurement function, so I know how it can work and can help. Here in Douglas County, during the recession, the purchasing department was eliminated, and they went to a decentralized purchasing system to the department heads. However, department heads are doing a lot of things, so I feel that, as a county, we do a lot of different things. We also do a lot of the same things across different departments. And see, I see where procurement can be a strategic function where we could bring value and bring savings to the taxpayer. And it also creates an oversight that is not there today. One of the big areas we've struggled with is some of the federal funding that's come through. We've received significant amount of CARES Act and now American Rescue Plan Act. Again, I think this is a valuable service that could be utilized to backfill my department, which we don't have a purchasing person. I have one employee who processes purchase orders after the fact. And so I think Civic Initiatives is going to be able to step in and fill that procurement function for us.
So the next one, I actually have two speakers on because this has been where we've been seeing most of the demand on it. So in the vase curator scenario, there probably is a procurement function, and it generally exists and it can generally do things, but then the staffing is tenuous and it's very dependent on one or two people. And then if one or two of those people leaves, then it's a huge disaster because there's nobody who can help to pick it back up. And so it creates a risk that's hard to bridge in a short time because maybe you don't have a lot of this kind of person in your area. Maybe you're not market competitive with where the market is today. And so it's the ability to bridge that knowledge gap and that timing gap and be successful at it. So I have two in here because they're both really good stories. The first one is Amy Buckhart Johnson from City of Pearland. Amy, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. Can you quickly introduce yourself, and then I'll ask you about this procurement as a service set.
Absolutely. So I'm Amy Buckhart Johnson. I am the CFO for the City of Pearland in Texas. We are a city about 130,000 people, and we have a procurement division in our finance department that's consists of 4 positions.
Great. So you came to us after I spoke at the GFOA conference a few weeks ago. So maybe just briefly talk about like why you considered getting some help in that way.
Sure. So we've gone through quite a bit of transition in the finance department overall over the last couple of years, and purchasing is one of those pain points that we've had trouble maintaining consistency in. And so we've had a great deal of turnover. We're trying to take our time to get the right folks in here so we can do a little bit of a culture shift. And we wanted some help and some backup with the kind of the legal expertise and everything that you guys offer on the purchasing side of the house so that we could keep operations rolling, but also take our time in vetting the candidates that we want and make sure that they're really the right fit.
And we even came out on site to your one remaining person, and I think brought them a volleyball because it was the Wilson, like in the alone, like that you're not alone, that you have some team. So we're not replacing those people. We're making sure those people feel like they can do their job and they're not going to then be a flight risk as well.
Absolutely. So our one remaining person has been on the job for 2 months, and she's very excited, but she's also a little bit apprehensive, obviously, because the rest of the team has moved on. So we just want to make sure that she's got the support she needs and the tools that she needs. And we don't have any in-house subject matter experts. So having you guys as a resource really gave her a sense of comfort and really kind of settled her down. She feels supported. She feels like she can go to you guys with questions. And it's working out really great for us.
And then this is John Brower with Flagler County. He had 2 people who left in the same week with like 7 or 8 RFPs in flight. And we stepped in to help him land those planes. So John, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. So why don't you give a quick introduction and then I'll ask you a question related to the topic.
Sure. I'm John Brower. I'm the Financial Services Director for Flagler County down here in sunny Florida.
So I'm talking about 4 profiles of local government where procurement as a service should be on their radar. So the one that I asked you to help me put a little color commentary to was the vase curator, which is somebody who may have a procurement shop that has some stability, but then if one or two people leave, then a lot of knowledge went out the door, and then you have to make some good decisions about how to refill that knowledge. And so we had the opportunity to meet you when you had a couple people leave at the same time and helped you pick up some of those pieces. So maybe talk a little bit about your experience there and why getting some help was useful strategically for you.
Sure. We have a small shop. We had 4 people in our purchasing area, and our purchasing manager and our senior analyst left within a week of each other. We're an ongoing county, ongoing government. Things continue. They don't just stop because we don't have people to take care of them. So we were in a tough spot. Contacted Dustin, Civic Initiatives, that by the end of the week we met, and the beginning of the following week after that, we had someone showing up on site. Highly experienced, just jumped right in, said, give me everything, and all our formal procurement stuff, which was my biggest concern, was taken care of. I felt immediate relief knowing that someone that was professional came in that was taking care of that stuff, because that was pretty crazy for that week, those few days that we were wondering what we were going to do. So
we helped you pick up the stuff that was in flight, and then slowly start backing up into helping with, okay, well, what RFPs are on the tarmac that are waiting to get into the air, and help build some processes there, and slowly sort of took it from a crisis situation into something that was more triaged and managed.
Yeah, exactly. We had, took care of the emergency stuff, the stuff that had to be taken care of in the next week or 2 or 3. And as we progressed through the summer, this past summer, we were finding it difficult to hire a purchasing manager and a senior. We're still looking for both. Actually, we just hired a purchasing manager. The skill set around this area is, with the experience that we need, is just not here. So, but as we got past that initial critical phase and things started to become more normalized, you got into more of the help us have a better policy, normalize our procedures, just started working on other areas to just clean us up and help us out even more.
And we helped you even with position descriptions and how to actually go out, and helped you with some understanding of, in the market, what some of these people cost to actually regain the staff, which is the critical part of making sure that you're able to work.
Right, touching on those descriptions in particular about what things really need to be covered, we were lacking. They were very old, and updating them, and also helped us get on different websites for having people apply to us.
We're glad we were able to help. And I knew that once we got past the initial burst of, wow, there's a lot of stuff to pick up, I knew there was going to be a great story in here.
Happy to tell it. Thanks for being there for us. I know that you really saved me in the short term and in the medium term as well. Hopefully what we've done the last 6 months or so will push us forward into greatness in the future.
The Surge Protector is a shop that is not as fragile as the Vase Curator. 1 or 2 people leaving isn't going to break the shop. And generally it's pretty proud that it can do work, and you have a lot of things rolling. But then the federal money that is coming through has created a lot of surges, as well as just other surges that may be happening. And so you don't want to overstaff your procurement shop to be larger than it needs to be for your normal operations. So this is Rafi Sarafian. He's the Chief Procurement Officer for Cook County. We're helping them with tons of RFP work, as well as other things in the shop. So Rafi, thanks for joining. You're with Cook County. We're doing some work from you. So maybe talk about like why you considered getting some help in this procurement as a service style.
Sure. Thank you, Dustin. And as you said, my name is Rafi Sarafian. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer of Cook County. And like most agencies around the country and procurement offices around the country, we're facing, heavy workloads and staffing situations. And there is a lot of workload on our desk right now and on our horizon. We are looking for resources to help us manage the workload and get the work processed efficiently, so there's no impact to our day-to-day operation at the county. And so Civic Initiatives is one of those resources that we have turned to. They have the ability to help us process requests for new contracts and work with our procurement team and our departments to work on the requests for new solicitations, get them drafted and ready for advertisement, They've also been providing crucial insight and input to us on the many questions that arise on a day-to-day basis as well. So again, to help us manage the workload, in all different aspects of the operation. But they're filling a crucial role right now for us to get the work processed in an efficient and timely way.
So in summary, we extend and enable the procurement function. We're not here to talk to you about outsourcing your procurement shop unless you need somebody to take over your procurement function so you can fix it. But it's on-demand, full-time, certified procurement professionals. We have a history of success since 2010, enthusiastic references around the country. So wherever your staffing line ends on procurement and the work continues past that staffing line, we meet you where you are and we finish that function. Hi, it's Dustin Lanier. Thanks for listening. Please find me on LinkedIn for original public sector operations content every week. And please reach out to me if I and my team of procurement professionals at Civic Initiatives can help you be a public procurement change agent.